beauties and bees, and welcome to the show. I tell a quick little interlude here to today's show, and then we'll do a complete introduction. So, about a year ago, I tried to launch a second channel. It was started off being called Battle for Gaia, but ended up being called Breeze Bestiaries, right? And I was going to cover animal content. But I ran into a lot of trouble with being able to keep the videos up because the use of animal videos is kind of touch and go. Recently, I decided to relaunch it, but from this channel again, to just bring it back here and put it back into a segment on Life in the Hive. Actually, I want it to be the final segment on Life in the Hive moving forward. Breeze Bestiaries. So it'll have its own background and images and stuff. I may continue. I may try to release the videos on the Breeze Bestiary channel. So if I do, I'll be able to do an announcement about it. Recently, we actually started this process with I did the three-toe, the legendary wolf of the Old West. But after that happened, I got that stupid freaking copyright strike again because I was like, you know what? I'm ready to try this animal thing again. And I did the three-toe video and I was excited about it. Breeze Bestiaries is coming back. And then that freaking copyright strike, right? For doing the video of the Syriema smacking the lizard on the rock. That's what did it for me. Not the good one with the where the woman was talking and it was like right down there, but the one where it was running across the grass in the distance and doing it far and beating the lizard on the rock far away. That one was the one that got the strike. I reached out to the guy who owns the channel, said, "Hey, sorry, this was just on a playlist of Siriemas doing stuff, and I didn't mean to step on your toes." The one that led to this one was a zoo video, which you're definitely allowed to use. Zoos want you to use their videos to promote them, but nature photographers do not. So I stuck my nose right back into doing the bestiary stuff with the animals, and then boom, copyright strike on an animal video, not from the Breeze Bestiary segment, but from something else, from one of my sci-fi videos talking about top 10 worst prehistoric creatures or some crap like that. Anyhow, I digress. I have deliberated, I've mulled it over, I've decided that I'm going to go with it. I'm going to wing it. We're still going to do it. I'm not scared. Let's do animal videos. And we'll do our best to try not to step on anybody's toes. We'll do our best to make sure that we're adding feasible commentary to anything and everything that's out there that we cover. So, without further ado, let's launch the first because the three toes was kind of a pilot. Let's launch the first episode of the renewed Breeze Bestiaries. Thank you so much. All right. Yes, that's the Breeze Bestiary channel, Pragmatic Crystal, and these will probably be uploaded over there. But they'll still be live. They'll still be done live here and then uploaded over there, I think. I don't know if I'm going to upload them individually here, though. So keep that in mind, and they'll be sporadic. So at least once a month, I'm hoping we can find a topic to cover. But I might cover one every week for a while here because I've got so much backed up in my brain that I wanted to talk about. So what is Breeze Bestiaries? Well, we talk about the legends and myths surrounding an animal, an individual animal, a species, an extinct animal even, as long as there's misleading or misunderstood folklore or legends or wives' tales about them that we can sink our teeth into. Today's a special one for me because, as I keep mentioning, probably enough to annoy you guys to death, I grew up on the Mississippi, like in a river town. So the damn Catfish folklore was pretty big around here. Every dam had the story. Oh, when the divers were putting the dam in and they had welders down there, they would see, when they'd strike their welding torches to weld, they'd see catfish the size of Volkswagens waiting in the darkness watching them. So they requested like shark cages and stuff. That's the legend. When they were working on the dams, now these projects, as you all probably know, the infrastructure of the river systems in the U.S. underwent a huge change right in the middle of the 20th century, from about the 1920s up into the 1970s. It was reworking the river systems from the Mississippi, from Minnesota to Louisiana was sculpted and dragged, and there were dams and locks put in and bridges built. And this wasn't just on the Mississippi, though. It was happening on the Missouri River, the Ohio, the Illinois, the Colorado. I think the Colorado is one of the few that got to keep some of its wilder elements. But there's just to say that there's these river systems in the United States that were tamed over the middle of the last century, is where this lore comes from. The lore of the giant catfish, as big as a Volkswagen, that could eat a man. So let's explore this legend. This isn't the one I wanted to start with. This one is. This is, do giant catfish really exist? Everybody's heard the tale of monster whisker fish lurking in the deep, dark waters of southern lakes and rivers. We take a dive in search of the truth. Yeah, that's when all these lakes went into. All these man-made lakes across North America. They all went in the same time period when they were putting all these dams in. So yeah, they're in lakes and rivers. All right. Yeah, the Mekong catfish is the biggest catfish in the world, and we'll talk about that as well. The largest catfish has never been caught. Not even close. The true giants, the ones that grow as big as Volkswagen Beetles and can swallow a Jack Russell whole or even pull under a child, live at the bottom of reservoirs and dams. Far too deep and far too wise to ever be hooked. You can try to land one for sure. Go knock yourself out, but just know that you're wasting your time. Every now and then, however, a diver tasked with making an underwater repair catches sight of one of these beasts lurking in the darkness, then promptly hauls ass back to the surface to avoid becoming fish food. That's what scores of Southerners have long believed anyway. I hazard that any kid with a fishing pole and bobber south of the Mason-Dixon line has heard tell of these Goliath uncatchable whisker fish, one of the closest things the South has to the Loch Ness monster. But how much of it, if any, of these big fish talk is true? Now, Bree's going to tell you right now that I'm not swallowing that this is a Southern thing. So again, I grew up in the Mississippi. I grew up in Missouri, but I was in the more northern part of Missouri. But the whole state of Missouri is Southern. I'm not going to pretend it's like, oh no, there's northern Missouri and southern. No, southern Missouri is Missouri. The only culture that's different is around St. Louis and maybe Kansas City. The whole rest of the state is Southern as hell. But the lore goes all the way up the Ohio River. Have a good one, Maya. Love ya. All the way up the Ohio River, Illinois River, into the Great Lakes, up the Missouri River, into the rivers in the Southwest. I don't know about the Rio Grande, but I know the Colorado River has some giant fishtails. Anyway, continuing on, because yeah, putting in the electric dams and stuff is it's part of the folklore. Let's see. According to the Guinness Book of Records, a 9-foot-long individual caught in northern Thailand in 2005 weighed an astounding 646 pounds. Mekong catfish. They are so huge, so monstrous of a fish, it's not even funny. Billy Mitchell is a diver with River Service Company in Greenville, Mississippi. He has spent the past 15 years salvaging submerged barges and working on dams and waterways, construction sites from the Gulf of Mexico all the way up to St. Paul, Minnesota. He's no doubt familiar with the legend where someone sees us with one of our diving shirts on. He says, the first question we hear is, have you ever seen the giant catfish the size of Volkswagen Beetles? He estimates that he gets asked upwards of 30 times a year about the fish. And he's convinced that people, for one reason or another, enjoy believing, perhaps subconsciously, that monster catfish lurks somewhere at the bottom of lakes and rivers. A fascination with the fear of big cats, big cats like, wow, says, as Mitchell regularly witnesses, is nothing new, nor is it exclusive to the United States. From about 1600 to 1870, the Japanese, for example, believed in an orca-sized mythical whisker fish named Namazu, who controlled flooding and rainfall. In 1855, when a 7.0 magnitude earthquake rocked the city that would later become Tokyo, claiming 8,000 lives. Locals believed that Namazu wrought the devastation, a punishment for their wrongdoing. Stateside, tales of giant catfish date back to at least the end of the 19th century. In Mark Twain's 1883 memoir, Life on the Mississippi, he writes of having seen 6-foot, 250-pound catfish in the river, which, if true, would dwarf the standing North American record of 143-pound blue cat caught in Kerr Lake on the Virginia-North Carolina border in 2011. Rumors of the giant cats grew more colorful over time. In May 1902, Kentucky's The Hickman Courier published a front-page story about a farmer's near-death fight with a monster catfish that had become stuck in the shallows of a creek. For reasons not made entirely clear, the farmer thought it prudent to hurl himself atop the floundering catfish, which then proceeded to impale him with one of its spiked fins and pull him into deeper water, where he nearly drowned. Holy shit, would you do that? Would you jump on a giant catfish if you found one, like swimming in the water? Would you just jump on top of it? Moreover, a widely passed over photo of a catfish in the neighborhood of 800 pounds, purportedly taken in 1914 in Hardin County, Tennessee, further propagates the belief in huge cats. According to Snopes, the photo later proved fake. Let's go look. What's the photo look like? I'm not gonna use Snopes as a a photo not found situation here. You know, they call it the sewer gators. Ironically, we just covered sewer gators. We covered that in Cryptic Corner, though. Maybe it would have been a better fit for this show. However, I'm not entirely convinced that sewer gators were anything more than a cryptid, really, because they weren't actually breeding in the sewers. People dump them in there. I guess we don't have a picture. I want this picture. Let's find it. Let's see. 1914, Hardin County, Tennessee. Mama's going to look this up. Live on air with the Hive. So if you want to be part of the investigative team with me and help me look into these things live on air, come join us every Saturday morning. We do all kinds of neat investigations. Is this going to be it? Show me a picture. Just want a picture. Ooh, here we go. Let's see how this turns out. It's not a very good picture, but I didn't expect it to be. So if you all can't see it very well, I'm going to zoom in as much as I can on it without, I guess, more distorted, of course, but there's some writing at the top here. But here's the fish. Here's the bottom lips, the tip of, when you measure a catfish, you measure from the tip of the bottom lip to the bottom of the tail. That's how you measure a catfish properly. That's why when you go to a place where there's fishing, there's those measuring things on the table. So you can lay your fish right on top of there and measure it. But we got a little dude here. And to say that this is 800 pounds, I don't believe. But we're going to look at some videos here in a minute. Catfish that are pretty close, pretty damn close to this size. All right. Let's, where were we? Yeah, here we are. Okay. I'm glad you guys are here for this catfish lore. Over the following years, stories of monster cats continue to surface in small town newspapers every so often. But the myth took on new life in the early 1930s when the Tennessee Valley Authority began building hydroelectric dams in the southeast, slackening the deepening the waterways and making the existence of giant catfish more plausible in the minds of many, and leading to even more far-fetched stories. So that's why I was talking about what they did with Mississippi. They dragged the whole thing and make the whole thing one deep channel. There's some places in the Mississippi where they make it 2 or even 3 channels, but for the most part, it's one big drag channel down the middle for the barges to move up and down the river. But yeah, that's the situation. They did that in the South, and they'd also put dams up to make lakes and locks to pass barges through, keep track of what's moving up and down the river. All the rivers all over the Southeast and Midwest, and giant catfish lore came alongside it. In the 1970s, a rumor persisted around Caseyville, Kentucky, that a fisherman found a human baby in the stomach of a large flathead cat, according to American Folklore and Encyclopedia. Within a decade, so what year was that supposed to have happened? That's giving me a, uh-oh, not going to go there. Suspicious. Yeah, I'm not doing that. Thank you, McAfee. We'll see if we can find other information on that some other time. Maybe. What I'll do is I'll see if I can find that article. And when I publish this on Breeze Bestiary, you will be able to view it. I'll put the article, pull the article up, okay, so you can see it. We'll see if we can't get a date on the legend. Within a decade of the supposed incident, giant cats had become bona fide tabloid fodder. Here we go. In 1985, the Weekly World News, a weekly rag of mostly fabricated stories and proto-fake news, ran the sensational headline, "Catfish attacks a water skier." The story details how an 11-year-old boy endured a vicious attack with bite marks up to his knee to prove it. As much as I want to believe these stories, or at least parts of them, I found in my research no evidence to suggest that they're anything but fabrication, and there's no contingency of scientists out there looking to prove the existence of monster cats either. Like any good tall tale, these stories contain a shade of truth, making them seem at least vaguely plausible. A possible explanation for their longevity and wide distribution. To wit, there are indeed monster catfish, the whales, that can grow as large as 300 pounds, but they're native to Europe and not North America, and they're mean as hell, too. The Whales catfish. Mitchell, based on the untold number of hours he spent underwater, said that he'd struggle to believe any reports of a catfish the size of a whale in the U.S., much less one weighing as much as a car. He often dives 120 feet deep and has spotted 60 to 70 pound catfish. On at least one occasion, he pulled a 90 pounder out of a submerged barge. But he has encountered no fish even comparable to a Volkswagen. He considered giant catfish purely myth. It's one of those deals where somebody said they saw something years and years ago, and he says, and somehow people still believe it. Sometimes, though, he'll get tired of people asking him over and over about the gargantuan cats, so he'll have a little fun and tell him, yes, that he has seen vehicle-sized cats way down in the depths. In this way, he's helping the giant catfish live on, not in the water, but in the imagination, where the creature truly thrives and multiplies. It's amazing what people will believe, he says. And speaking of Wells catfish, that's why I wanted to read that one first, because this guy is actually a diver who photographs and has seen some Wells catfish. Here we go. Here's a quote. Some diver working in a dam in Toledo Bend saw some catfish so big they swore they would never go back down there. I heard that story so many years ago in elementary school and wondered if such a humongous catfish might exist. Then I kept hearing the story as it changed to Sam Rayburn living in Livingston and even Dan B. At that point, I began to think it was a tall tale. I guess it had some natural journalistic skepticism even as a youngster. So when I heard it, it was Cannon Dam, which is the dam closest to here. So I grew up with the same story in my local folklore, but it was the local dam. It was the local dam right here on the Mississippi closest to me. So irony, right? Everybody has some lore. Let me pop back out to the side chat here and catch up with everybody before I move on. I'd ride that catfish like a surfboard, says Spooky. We're going to see some big catfish in a minute, so stick around. Wells catfish get huge. They really do. Wells catfish are aggressive. They'll actually bite people. I have been fishing in Toledo Bend, says Pragmatic Crystal. Oh, I would love to go fishing in Toledo Bend. I'm not a big fisherman. I do like a man who fishes. Is that weird? I don't want to fish. I want to watch my man fish. And I want him to bring me fish to eat. That's what I want. These stories still exist, and they are tied into social media hoax. If you have a Facebook account or email address, you have probably seen the photo of the angler in the water with a huge yellow-skinned catfish with a subject line like Angler's Noodle World Record Catfish or something like that. Well, for starters, noodling is the practice of feeling around with your with your hand and grabbing a catfish by the mouth and wrestling them to shore. I've seen people do that too. I wouldn't mind having a man who did some noodling. I'm not going to lie. Kind of. But anyway. Well, yeah, for starters, wrestling. The photo passed around on the internet of anglers with supersized flatheads are not really flatheads at all. They are Wells catfish from Europe. They look almost exactly like flatheads except for the fins, which grow like a tadpole. And then there is the size. Wells grow up to 15 feet in length and catch catches a fish over 6 feet long are common. The world record flathead is just over 5 feet in length. So an average wels is bigger than the biggest flatheads. My wife Lisa and I both caught wels over 7 feet in that Segura River in Spain in 2005, and nearly everyone who sees the photo thinks they are flatheads until we tell them differently. Interestingly, the guide on our trip told us the divers that the river work on the inspection dam in a shark cage. The dam divers worked in shark cages because of giant catfish, he said. The wels, which can grow over 10 feet in length, are aggressive enough to attack them. I was a bit skeptical of the attack, but then he pulled off his shirt and showed a massive scar across his back of where a wels bit him when he got into the water to try to land it. I wouldn't want to be bit by a catfish. They got all those scrapey teeth and it was like scrape your flesh off. Ah! The largest catfish in North America are blue and flatheads, both of which live at many Texas reservoirs and many reservoirs in the South and Midwest in general. They can attain weights of over 130 pounds, and I have no doubt there are specimens quite a bit larger. In my opinion, the catfish scarring the divers legend, scarring, I got caught up in that last line about the one that bit him and left a scar. In my opinion, the catfish scaring the divers legend began with a diver seeing a record-sized catfish in murky water, and the story grew from there. A Volkswagen-sized catfish would weigh closer to a ton. Such fish don't exist here in the United States. Next time you see a photo of a giant catfish supposedly noodled, look closely at the fins. It's probably a whales. And the next time you hear of giant catfish below dams, realize there is no way they are the size of economy cars. Officials with the Texas Parks and Wildlife Department Commission at the November 2020, is this the same topic? Yeah, 2020 annual meeting were considering adding several exotic aquatic species to the banned list for Texas. The Wells catfish was one of those. That's good. We don't need invasive giant catfish in the U.S. In the official proposal, they noted the following. The department proposes to designate the Wells catfish, Solarus glanus, as a harmful and potentially harmful exotic fish. The species is currently listed as an injurious wildlife species under the Lacey Act. This species is a voracious predator that can grow over 16 feet in length and poses a significant risk to native species, particularly bottom-dwelling species, including other catfish and mussels. Although the species has not yet been documented in the U.S., the Wells catfish has become somewhat notorious as a monster fish and is considered to have potential to be introduced into the U.S. legally via the underground pet trade. While changes regarding tilapia and grass carp permits were made, it seems as if the Wells was not officially banned in Texas. It's doubtful they show up, but if they ever do, then I might believe stories of scared divers around dams. As someone who has caught a 7-footer in Spain, I can say I wouldn't want to snuggle up next to one in the deep, murky water. All right, that's Chester Moore Jr. wrote this. I believe this is him with his fish taken by his girlfriend Lisa Moore. So, oh, stop that. Why is it highlighted? So that's a pretty big catfish. That's his Wells catfish. That's a 7-foot Wells catfish. Monster fish. But let's look at some. First of all, let's look back at this picture. So don't forget this image here. And then we are going to, I want to watch this real quick, okay? I'm going to mute it because I don't know. if they're going to make a big fuss about it or not. But here's our giant catfish. Upward facing mouth. The fin here does look like a flathead. Our homeboy's going to swim around here. So let's see more of the fish. But the important thing I want to take away from this, look at that big giant head, is how small the mouth is too. Even at that size, it could bite you. If it got your hand or your foot, you might have trouble getting it back. But it doesn't seem like, and there's the tip of the tail. It doesn't seem like it would be, that it would be able to, maybe it opens its mouth huge and I'm just underestimating it. It does never open its mouth here, but it looks like maybe you could get your arm in there if it opened its mouth. Maybe. Where was this taken? Oh good, there's details. This video was created during a dive in January. The water temperature was 4 degrees Celsius and the surface of the water was ice capped. The home of the catfish was a sunken Paleo. But where is this? Maybe that was a Wells catfish. It's pretty big though. Let's see if, here, we can do this. Find Wells. Yep, huge Wells catfish. Okay. There's evidence of Wells catfish in France that eat birds. So the Wells catfish is massive. This is the big guy. I guess they're saying these fins are like tadpole fins, but I didn't see that. Like, I don't see that. Looks like a ray fin fish fin to me. I'd like to know more details about the difference between a flathead and a Wells. Mekong catfish are pretty distinct though. There's another one right here. Oh, I don't want to have that up there. This is the catfish the size of a car at the dam, and your uncle heard about from his neighbor's friend's cousins who's a diver. This one is huge though. Let's look. It's a short video, but look at that. That must be a Wells too, because it looks almost the same. Its fins look the same too. Where was this taken at? Oh, you pissed him off. Finally got sick of your crap and swam away. He didn't want to be in the selfie with you. Maybe he thought you were trying to eat him. He's so cute. I love his little face. I'm the weirdest person you'll ever meet. I'm like, oh, that's cute. And it's like there's something other people would find horrific. What are you going to do, though? All right. So, before we... I'll close it here because it's Facebook. Before we wrap up, I did want to see if we couldn't find a good video of a Mekong catfish. Yeah, let's see. I don't know what they're playing here as far as sound goes, but where's the catfish? I'm doing river monsters, I guess. I just want to see the fish. I don't actually care about your adventures to find the fish. Is there anybody out there who has just the... Lots of deadliest river monsters of the Amazon and stuff like that. Maybe we need to do one of those. What do you guys think? Let's see. We have world record catfish. And lots of background stuff. Stock footage. What are they holding in here? Doesn't look like a world record catfish to me. Maybe it is, though. It's pretty big. Is that a Mekong? Is that a Mekong? Doesn't say. I don't want to turn the sound on and get a copyright strike because this looks like it's from a documentary, too. YouTube makes my job so hard with their... I get what they're doing, don't get me wrong, but... Let's see. This is just a short, so maybe I can...
The fish in this video is the giant Mekong catfish, and this gentle giant feeds primarily on algae and other plants.
Very distinct looking, though.
It was a 9-foot specimen caught in Indonesia, and it weighed a whopping 646 pounds. Because of their insane size, their only predator is us humans, but that hasn't stopped us from almost fishing them into extinction. It's thought that right now there's only a few hundred to maybe 1,000 specimens in the wild, and so it's very possible that the biggest specimens have never been caught or seen. There's some conservation efforts going on in aquariums to breed them, and hopefully they will be successful in keeping this gentle giant alive. So if you ever manage to catch this legendary monster, make sure you release it afterwards.
Wow, it's big. That's nice.
They definitely look more like they're more streamlined, like they'd be faster and live in a different environment than you see the catfish, the whales, and the flathead and the blue cat that we were looking at before, which are sort of bottom dwellers. This guy looks more streamlined, and when they were showing when they were showing the videos of it, the parts of it swimming through the aquarium and stuff here, it's swimming up in the water column higher than what you expect from like a flathead catfish and things like that. And let me catch up on my chat here while this is playing. Where are we going? Last thing I read was a bit about Pragmatic going to Toledo Bend. So Spooky says we call noodling tickling in the UK. Do you noodle for Wells catfish? LOL, that's a messy fishing method. Yeah. Get bit and let it bite your hand. Whatever goes into their mouth is not coming out because of the teeth face backwards. Yeah, they're like on a spiral too, like a shark's teeth. That's the biggest one I've gotten on video. Oh, you got... Yeah, let's watch. I'm going to turn the sound on. Whoa, that was about 40 pounds. Oh, wow. Too big for your cooler. Did you weigh it? That's a big fish, Crystal. Lots of blackening seasoning needed for that one. Great video. Fried is the best way to go. I love fried catfish. It's like my favorite meat in the whole world. I'm not a big meat eater, but fried catfish is why I'm a pescatarian instead of a vegetarian. Blackening season. I like fried catfish with the Cajun seasoning in the batter. I've perfected mine. I prefer my fish. Oh, I lost my place. I prefer my fish on someone else's plate, not mine. I'll eat your fish as a hoe. 64, bring me fish. Fresh and still wriggling is the way to go with fish, seafood, as a hoe. I keep calling you as a hoe. It's asshole. I only eat clams and most fish, seafood, I don't like. I like clams too, and most seafood is what I rely on for protein. I'm a Floridan. I'm not eating no damn frozen seafood. Yeah, you're too close to the coast to settle for frozen. But I'm a big fisherman, ironically. Yeah. I know, right? 100% Tsumami, said Pragmatic Crystal. Tsumami, I only really like lobster and crab, sometimes salmon. I like all of those things. Bring them to me and feed them. Put them on my belly. Only fish I really don't care much for is tuna, and that's more because it was forced on me when I was a kid than because I don't actually like the taste of the fish. But I'll chomp some fast food style fried whitefish on occasion. Sometimes I get a craving for a fish steak. Yeah, I'll eat like a fillet of fish if we go to McDonald's or something like that. Because there's not much for me other than that. I'll eat chicken sometimes. I'm trying to eat less chicken. So I'm having chicken days that I eat chicken on. LOL, they mostly tickle for trout and salmon. Okay, no catfish then. Poor fishy. No catfish here, but I'm no fisherman, says Spooky. No, you didn't weigh it? Okay. Whole fried catfish looks and smells so good, but don't like the taste. I don't like it when the catfish is fried with the head still on it. I don't like that. Oh, just look it up. There are catfish here. There are catfish here. Yeah, I figure there might be catfish along the river systems and stuff out there. You know, so I've seen some horror shows of people like cooking a fish and it was still alive. Like I can't even barely look at it. It was still like you could still see it still moving. Humans, and it said like something along those lines. Humans are garbage. Yeah, eat it while it's still alive. That's or cook it while it's still alive and then eat it while it's still alive. Is horrid. What's wrong with people? Respect animals enough to not make them suffer unnecessarily. Why are people like this? Anyway, that was a little bit of Breeze Bestiary for you. The new segment, new old segment that's coming back from retirement. So I hope that we will see more of you guys on Breeze Bestiary. So please remember to be kind, take care, and we'll see you next time.